welcome to the Monday evening.
Love ball like I do. After Dark's a must listen.
That's where I go to get my hoops fix.
This is Field of 68 After Dark.
Welcome in, everybody, to what may be the first time this show has ever actually been in the dark. We are here in Charleston for Field of 68 After Dark, presented by BetMGM. I'm Paul Fritschner. That's Jeff Goodman, and he is Rob Dauster. And what a night we just had here at TD Arena in Charleston, South Carolina. It is an honor to be on this show for the first time, so thanks to you guys for having me on. We just got finished with an electric game, maybe the game of the year in college basketball. We're going to talk about all that and more. It has been a great night all around the country, so a ton to talk about over the next hour. Jeff, this game that we had here in Charleston.
I mean, we knew it was going to be fun. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you had two teams. Again, FAU, gets up and down like no other team in the country. Charleston, we know, can score. They add Darian Boyd, one of the best scorers from the transfer portal. And Chris Mack's been raving about him to us for weeks now. Mm-hmm. But we did not expect what we just saw, which is a double overtime thriller that was back and forth, that Charleston had a chance to put FAU away, but FAU came back, hit some daggers. They took the lead, and it looked like they were going to close this thing out. But Ante Brzovic, who might be as good a big man as we've seen maybe in the country this year in terms of his production. Again, I'm not calling him the best big man in the country. I'm saying this guy is one of the most underrated big man in the country is Ante Brzovic. He comes away with a game-winning shot where he takes the inbound, and he wants to give it to C.J. Fulton, but he can't. It's a broken play. He dribbles down the right side and launches his shot from 35, 40 feet. Boom. Swishes it. Game over. Charleston wins. Unbelievable. Incredible game. Incredible ending.
I just want to give you credit for finally going out on a limb and having a little bit of a hot take by calling the guy who is, after going for 39 points – 13 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks tonight, and is now in the season leading the country, averaging 33.7 points, 10.3 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks, that he might be one of the most productive players in college basketball. I'm glad.
Underrated, too.
I'm glad.
I said the most underrated.
I'm just glad that you finally went out on a limb and had a bold take there. No, he was unbelievable tonight. He was unguardable tonight, and I think my single biggest takeaway from this game was that both of these teams are good enough to be in the NCAA tournament. Now, they're going to run into an issue because obviously Charleston plays in the CAA, and in all likelihood they're going to end up being in a bid that is going to require them winning the automatic bid. And when you have a team like Towson in the conference, it's never going to be an easy thing to be able to go through and win those 3 games. But they're good enough to win.
Hey, you don't think Pat Scarry watching this game tonight was like, oh no?
I think Pat Scarry watching this game tonight was like, I need to put it on mute. I can't listen to Jeff Goodman anymore. Except when he said it to himself, it was in more of a Boston accent. No, but I'm serious when I say that, though. That FAU, the talent on that roster, like, are you kidding me?
Listen, they should be able to contend for the AAC.
And I think that's one of the interesting things we were talking, to Coach Jacobs about this yesterday is he's trying to formulate a team here. And what I mean by that is you have a bunch of players on FAU who were the guy at their previous stop. You look at Evans, SWAC Player of the Year last year at Jackson State. You look at Kiki Tandy, leading scorer for Jacksonville State. Amidst other guys, Caleb Glenn had a great game tonight. Louisville transfer coming over here trying to find
Miller was good.
Fantastic, especially in the game's opening minutes before Charleston, Chris Mack, they kind of switched it up defensively. But trying to formulate that as a team. And I thought you guys went back and forth on a really interesting point at the end of the broadcast on what this kind of game does momentum-wise for FAU.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they got a tough bounce-back game right tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be the hard part, right? Like, they need to come out of here with a split. It is very important that they don't come out of here 0-2. And, again, they're going to stay here and play in the Charleston Classic next week. But you need to get a split. It's imperative to me that they beat Liberty, again, based off what happened at the end. Because, again, you could think, hey, you know what? Yeah, Charleston had a chance to deliver the knockout blow. But FAU had that game. They came back and they had that game and let it slip away at the end.
Well, look, when you have two good teams, somebody has to lose. Like, I don't think that there's an overarching take that you can.
That's a hot take.
No, but look,
That's a hot take.
I don't think.
Somebody has to lose.
Yeah, but just
There's
because
a winner and there's a loser.
Wait, no. In all
Quote,
seriousness,
Rob Dauster, somebody has to lose.
I mean, you're over here saying that it's the end of the Florida Atlantic season because they lost
never
a game
said
in
that.
double overtime at the buzzer.
I'm
when
saying
a dude
they
goes
need
for
to win.
39.
I'm saying they need
do
to win tomorrow.
win. They do need to win because when it comes to getting into the tournament, results matter more than anything else, right?
Sure.
Which sounds like a ridiculous thing to say, but when
It's
we
another
rely,
great quote by you.
but when we rely so much on KenPom and analytics, like here's the bottom line. It based on KenPom in his database, if Ante Brozovic doesn't make that last three and instead Caleb Glenn makes that last three, there is not that much of a difference on the impact of what that result's going to be in terms of the numbers and the metrics. But it means everything
resume,
when
it
it comes
means-
to your resume to getting into the NCAA tournament.
And again, both of these teams, listen, neither one's probably going to be an at-large team. Let's face it, Charleston 2 years ago, remember how good they were. Yeah. They still weren't an at-large team. Yeah. It's rare that you're going to get a team, obviously, out of the CAA or the AAC even. You know, AAC has a better chance. You know, maybe they get 2 bids, depending on what happens with some of these other teams. But it's more of for new coaches, Chris Mack and John Jacobs, with new programs and a ton of new players trying to figure this thing out. And while they're figuring it out, getting a big win like Charleston did tonight, 119-116. I mean, like, come on, guys. This was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So FAU comes out, they score, I think, 17 points in the first war of the game, right? It's just back and forth. It's up and down. Charleston didn't really have an answer defensively. They take that media timeout. They come back out, and it's a little bit different with how they attack the big man. Baba Miller was getting everything he wanted offensively in the games. He was looking shifty. He was getting to the rim, scoring. Wasn't so much like that the rest of the way.
Yeah, I mean, Max switched up what they were doing defensively. They changed out of the drop coverage against pick and roll, and they started hedging it hard. They started trapping. We saw a little bit of his 1-3-1 zone in there, and that's just, that's what he does.
Brought a tear to my eye.
Yeah, that's what he does on that end of the floor is he mixes it up, and you give him different looks, and it kind of changes it. But at the same time, in the second half, that didn't work. They switched the coverage, and Florida Atlantic was able to make some passes and be able to get some of those open threes, and a lot of it came down to the fact that. I feel bad calling the kid out, but the point guard that they had in was passing it to
Leland
to his own team instead of passing it to the other team.
He had a rough night. He had a rough night, and Moretti saved them.
Mm-hmm.
Moretti was as tough a night as it was for Leland Walker.
Yep.
It was that good of a night for Moretti. He was tremendous in the last 10 minutes or so of the second half, and really through both overtimes. I mean, he was the guy that kind of got them going and kept them going.
Yeah, T.O.'s favorite saying is settle down guy. He loves calling people settle down guys. But that's exactly what Moretti is. The thing about FAU, when you play at this tempo, when you're going back and forth and up and down and up and down, it's very easy to fall into the trap of, all right, we're going to go as fast as we possibly can and start taking bad shots and start getting quick possessions and start struggling on doing the things that allow you to be able to get the good shots and be so efficient offensively. And when you bring him in there, you can you get a guy that's more, look, Leland Walker he's out there to get a bucket, right? He can be a point guard and he can pass, but he is a scorer first. Whereas Moretti is more of he's going to set the game up, he's going to set the table, he's going to find a way to make the right plays,
and he
more ball
picked his
screen.
spots.
Yes.
He did a great job of kind of reading the defense and what they were giving them, and
stepped to the
attacking
line a
when
few
he needed
times.
to. Yeah,
knocked down some big free throws when he had to. I mean,
I listen. I get what I think both of you are saying, and I understand it. If you're John Jacobs, you're looking at this and feeling obviously like it was an opportunity miss, but also feeling really good about your team and seeing it up close. and seeing how they competed against a really good Charleston team with, oh, by the way, Ante Brzovic and C.J. Fulton back.
Yeah.
2 all-league players back. So you got to feel good if you're John Jacobs, but you've also got to be, how do you sleep tonight? Because you're going through every call. And Mac would be too if they lost. Same thing. In a game like this, there's such a small margin for error on some of these plays. We saw it at the end of, I think it was the first overtime, right, where Ante Brzovic got the ball, spun in a 2 guys at that point, and he just made the decision. Didn't make that. Maybe, again, that could have been the play you look back on and say, hey, if he had passed it out, game over.
Fellas, we're just getting started here on the Field of 68 After Dark. We have plenty more coming up, including a conversation with Purdue's head coach Matt Painter after their big win at Mackey Arena over Alabama tonight. All that and more coming up. Stick with us after this on the Field of 68 After Dark, presented by BetMGM.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for the season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today.
Back here on the Field of 68 After Dark, Paul Fritschner, Jeff Goodman, Rob Dauster with you from Charleston, South Carolina. Somewhere back there's a picturesque view of the Charleston Bridge. You can't really see it, though. You just got to trust us. But it's back there somewhere.
It's beautiful.
About 2 o'clock today, it looked beautiful. Dagan was setting everything up. We thought we had it made. And it is luckily not too cold.
No, we're good. I got my heavy coat over there.
I mean, you
didn't
dress.
even have to pull it out of
You
here.
dress like Dennis Quaid in The Day After Tomorrow. All right. Next up, Purdue and Alabama. Is that where we're going here? Purdue
where
and
we're going.
Alabama.
That's where we're going.
That's the big matchup. That was like the big boy matchup of the day, obviously. And I think we all expected Alabama, I don't know if easily, but we expected the Crimson Tide. They're number one in your poll. You had them number one all along. You put Nate Oates in the Hall of Fame.
I did.
You know who belongs in the Hall of Fame? Matt Painter.
That is true.
Absolutely belongs to the Hall. What he's done with this Purdue program is amazing. And tonight, the Boilermakers at Mackey, you don't want to bet against Purdue at Mackey.
Yeah, well, it's also – I think you have to give Nate Oates credit for actually playing the game on the road at Mackey. Like, we need more of this in college
1,000%.
basketball. Mackey Arena, for people listening, every Purdue fan listening to this is going to know what I'm about to say, but Mackey Arena is up there with Cameron Indoor Stadium and Fog Allen Fieldhouse as like the toughest environments to play in when Purdue is good, and Purdue is really good, and the fan base is excited and fired up. They pack that place out. It's loud. They're coordinated in their efforts. They have the students on each end behind the bat. It's a phenomenal place. If you have a bucket list for places you need to go watch college basketball, go there. Credit to Nate Oates for playing this game. Credit to Matt Painter for kicking their ass. And I think that it's fair to say that they, especially down the stretch, right? The thing that stood out to me more than anything else was how good Trey Kaufman-Wren was probably the best player on the floor for Purdue because they threw it to him, and every single time he got it down the block, he scored or he found someone for a bucket. Like Braden Smith, 17-10, 6 rebounds. Like he might be the best point guard in America. I think that argument can be made. I don't know if I'm quite ready to go there yet, but he is certainly in that conversation. And I promise you this: if you're doing a top 5 list, he's top 5 and he ain't number 5.
Kaufman-Wren finished with 26, 8, and 4 tonight. Fletcher Loyer, Braden Smith both had 17. And I think going into this game, you were on Twitter X all day long. Alabama was an incredibly popular pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were.
Everybody was on Alabama except for maybe the Purdue faithful had the Crimson Tide in this game. One of the more popular picks, honestly, that I can remember for a road favorite in college basketball. It's tough to win on the road in college basketball, much less as a road favorite. And they, it's again, you go to Mackey Arena, it's tough to get it done, and they couldn't tonight.
Yeah, and again, listen, Alabama, we know they have Mark Sears. I think a lot of people felt like Mark Sears was the best guard in the country coming into the season. You did, right? You did. I mean, that's no knock on you.
Yeah, it's Mark Sears, RJ
He had a
Davis.
great year.
Yeah, one of those two.
But I think Braden Smith was almost a forgotten man a little bit until the season started, and we saw what he meant to Purdue and the numbers he was putting up right away for Purdue. To me, again, the big question mark was going to be, who's the third guy? We know Braden Smith's going to be good, or who's the second guy? We know Fletcher Loyer is going to be one of their top guys.
Yeah.
Who else is going to join them? People, myself, I said Cam Heide. Maybe it's Miles Colvin. Well, it's the guy, Trey Kaufman-Wren, who kind of was the forgotten man last year, only because he didn't fit well with Zach Edey.
So the only thing that I would say to that is I think that we kind of knew what Trey Kaufman-Wren was, and I think that the reason why he had 26 tonight was because he got 23 shots off, right? Like what Alabama said is we're going to guard him one-on-one, so they kept throwing the ball into him, and he kept going one-on-one, and down the stretch he was dominant. I think Fletcher Loyer is a guy where when you scheme offensive sets for him, he's really good at running off those DHOs. He's really good at coming off of screens and being able to make a shot. Like, he's a good player when you set up an offense. He can run the play, and he can get the shot out of it and make that shot. He's really good at that. To me, what kind of set them apart tonight was C.J. Cox. He had 11 points, 4 for 5 from the floor, hit 3 threes, helped spur that 13-0 run in the second half when they erased the 6-point deficit and took the lead and kind of never looked back. And I think that my question with them coming into the season was not having Lance Jones, not having that other guy that could create something out of nothing. And I mean, you replace a fifth-year senior, and you're like, yeah, we're going to bring this guy off the bench, this freshman coming in, and recruited by some Ivy League schools. No one really knew who he was, and he showed some flashes in the bye games.
Isn't this Matt Painter to a T? Like, because when Matt Painter watches an AU game, he doesn't care about the rankings. They're irrelevant to Matt Painter. Other coaches recruit to the rankings. Matt Painter just watches a game, and he's going to find a guy that fits the things that he values, right? Toughness, character, all that. He might give a little bit in the talent realm, but he's not going to give in all those other things. And he doesn't care that C.J. Cox is like recruited by Ivy Leagues. If he likes him, whatever. Let's go get him.
Well, what I was more saying is that Lance Jones was a really good fifth-year, 23-year-old guy that had done it at a high level not in the Big Five leagues, but in the Missouri. Like, he'd been really good at a high level of basketball, and you're bringing in a freshman that no one really knew. And I'm not ready to say that he's going to do everything Lance Jones did, but in the moment you needed him tonight, he came through and he made the plays that he needed to make.
So if you're Purdue and you're trying to answer the preseason questions of what you're looking to replace after a national championship game berth last season, how does this game at home answer some of those questions?
I mean, you feel really good because, again, Trey Kaufman can give you some of what Zach Edey gave you. He's not going to give you all of it. And then other guys have to pick up the slack. Braden Smith's better.
Yeah.
He's the guy now. So, obviously he's going to do more. Fletcher Loyer's got to be more consistent than he's been in the past. He can't have those highs and lows like he's had. And the guys like Cox have to step up. It may not be him, like you said, every night, but if it's him 1 out of 3 and Cam Heide shows up 1 out of 3 and Colvin shows – okay, you know what? Then you got a team, and, that's what Purdue's all about. They're just about playing the right way, and they're about the sum of their parts generally. Meaning more than the one individual. Last 2 years, it was different.
I would still make the argument that last year the sum of their parts was the whole was better than the sum of the parts, even when you had Zach Edey, And I think we're seeing it again this year. I'm not ready to cut bait on Alabama, and we'll talk about that a little bit after we hear from Painter. But I think that Purdue was really impressive tonight. They won a game at home, what you're supposed to do when you have these big non-conference matchups. You want to be able to get those. I think that when it gets to March, that win is going to look incredible because I don't think that Alabama's fading away here. And all credit to Purdue, man. They proved a lot of people wrong with this win tonight.
Jeff Goodman had a chance to catch up with Purdue head coach Matt Painter. Let's take a listen to that right now.
All right, pleased to be joined by none other than Purdue head coach Matt Painter. And Paint, it's a hell of a win. I mean, listen, you've beaten a lot of really good teams over the last few years in the non-conference. You can add this one to the list, but nobody, probably myself included, I'll admit it, thought you were going to beat this Alabama team.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, listen, they're loaded. We know that. Like, they might be the deepest team in America. How did you do it?
Well, I think it started for us. They out-rebounded us by 2, but just for us to kind of hold serve, right? And then we only had 3 turnovers as a team. And, that was huge for us. Like, you got to be able to win the possession war. We were able to do that. We have a good team. The thing that you're trying to transition from having a great team, can we grow into having a great team? Time will tell that, but I like our start, with 3 guys that have started on a Final Four team and Braden and Fletcher and Trey Kaufman-Wren. Those 3 guys, all 3 played well for us tonight. I like our young guys. We just have a good blend. We only have 1 senior in Caleb First, but we have a good blend. We have a lot of guys that can shoot the basketball. We have an elite point guard. Fletcher Lawyer's been tough as nails. He's really worked hard all summer. Trey Kaufman-Wren's put in a lot of time, and he gives us someone that we can go to inside. So we've had a really good balance, but our freshmen have really stepped up and played. CJ Cox was probably the difference in that stretch tonight of just making those 3 straight threes. Jakari Harris has been really good. Miles Colvin has really defended well, and that bodes well for him because he's a shot maker too. You get into games where people play you in a drop, and your guys that can shoot aren't going to get as many opportunities. But Braden's going to get more then. And so we're cool with that. We're cool. Even though he went 6 for 18 tonight, like we encourage that. We really want him to be aggressive going against that drop and being able to play. And then when people hedge or people switch, his ability to create is going to open things up, and those guys are going to get more shots. But just a team effort. And obviously we have one of the best environments in the country. But I told our guys before the game, like they don't help us if you don't play well. Like they only help us. So they're not going to sit there and do things for us, but they can build that momentum, if we can get stops and string some baskets together and have a couple really nice runs during the game.
Obviously, you lose the big boy, the 2-time defending player of the year. Trey Kaufman-Wren tonight he wasn't Zach Edey, but he was damn good. He was damn good. And I don't know if anybody expected this. Did you? I mean, did he show you something tonight against Cliff Amore, one of the better defensive big men in the country?
Yeah, no, he's, and Cliff had the most success against him. They were a better team when Cliff was in the game. So getting him into foul trouble what was a big plus for us, because Cliff can change the game defensively. He causes a lot of problems. But yeah, no, we felt good about this. Trey not being a guy that was in position for people to really think that, he can go and have games like this. You're just not around our program. Like Zach's presence and everything, we need space with Zach. And like, you don't want to bring a guy around the basket as much. You want to space out and give him that room. So, you could run things for him and do different things for him if you want, but we just ran so much for Zach and we ran so much for Braden. Sometimes it's harder for other guys, especially if you're like him. So he knew, like, now I'm really going to have way more of an opportunity, once he leaves. And even though he plays the 4 some, he plays the 5 some for us. He splits that, especially with Daniel Jacobson getting hurt. So we expect this from him. He's worked really hard to be in this position. He's a good player.
Braden, I mean, he's got a lot on him this year. And I don't know if people thought he could handle all of this, right? Being the guy last year. You're Robin, right? You're Robin to Batman. It's pretty damn good. Now you're Batman. You're moving in that role. He does everything, doesn't he? Like, he just does everything you want as a coach, and he's kind of that quarterback out there too. You don't worry about it.
Yeah, for our team to have 3 turnovers is amazing, but he has the ball in his hands a lot. And only have 1 turnover and 10 assists against that kind of athleticism and pressure is pretty impressive. He really didn't have that great of a game. Obviously, he was only 6 for 18 from 3, but he controlled the game. And that's kind of like, the backbone of a player is like, what is your value when your shots are going in? And so like he rebounds, he gets past, he passes the ball, as well as anybody in the country, and he makes big time plays. Just a great leader.
How much better do you feel about your team now? Because it's early and you don't know until you see it, right? And
Yeah.
you've seen it now. You've seen it with a win over a lot of people's number one team in the country. Like, how much better does that make you feel about your team? And maybe differently does it make you feel about this group?
Yeah, you just have to keep it in perspective. It's in one of the best environments in the country. And so it's still a great win and it counts, right? But you still have to keep things in perspective. When we got beat at Creighton in our exhibition, I said, we got 3 weeks before we play Alabama. If we're not better in 3 weeks, we're not beating Alabama. I think we've made some strides. I think our guys kind of see, through our game that we got to be a better rebounding team. But we can offset that if we take care of the basketball too. So like just getting ourselves in position where we can execute without turning the basketball over, but also embrace the physicality of the game. So there's no doubt it's growth. But we haven't played great in the games before this. And so it was a great sign. But what you want more than anything is like you just want them to collectively have confidence, like feel comfortable with Braden Smith running the show, feel comfortable when you isolate, Trey Kaufman-Wren or Fletcher Lawyers coming off of pin downs. And I think that's what it builds more than anything is just that inner confidence within our team.
Last question. Are you already sick of Hummel?
No, he's great. He's great. He does his homework, even though it's his alma mater. Like, you enjoy anybody that does their homework and knows your team and really promotes your league. Like he does a great job promoting our league, even though he works multiple leagues.
He does. No, he works hard on the golf course. There's no question about it. He works very, very hard on the golf course. Thanks, Pate. I appreciate it, man.
How's our guy Robbie Hummel feeling right now?
Yeah, I mean, listen, again, I think Painter's sick of him. I mean, I've seen him twice already. We're 10 days into the season.
I think it's a little inappropriate that they have Purdue alum Robbie Hummel calling these Purdue games, and he's sitting there shaking the pom-poms, celebrating on the call. Like, come on, man. We're supposed to be impartial and unbiased.
All I know is this
Big J
program,
journalists.
since Robbie Hummel left, this program has skyrocketed upward.
Well,
The trajectory is incredible.
Alabama, what's their trajectory going forward? What does this loss mean for a team like Alabama on the road? And it's a tough environment. Like, what do you take away from this?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the thing I guess you take away from the first 2 weeks of the season for Alabama is that he's played, as Rob said, Nate Oates has played an incredibly tough schedule. 3 good mid-majors to start. Now you have this one. Then I think don't they go to like Illinois next? Don't they play Illinois?
Yeah, they have an insane schedule.
Insane.
Yeah.
So Nate Oates, first of all, you're out of your mind. I love you for playing it because, again, too many coaches wouldn't do this and don't do this. I'm waiting for them to get going, to really get going with this team. And they are without a huge piece. And Nate Oates told me before the year, like Chris Youngblood might be their most competitive dude on their team. So they're without a key piece, but you got a lot of new guys trying to figure it out. It's still 9 guys that you're playing, trying to get in minutes. The second unit might be more talented than the first. So I think Nate Oates is still going to try to figure this thing out. This team is there's no way they're going to peak early. They're going to get better and better and better as long as he can figure the chemistry out.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things here. One, they're getting the shots that they want. Like, they're getting the threes that they're not bad looks. They're missing them right now. And the question that I kind of have is, are these guys bad shooters? Like, are the players missing these shots because they can't make them? Are they missing it because they're not confident? Is this just, the stretch where they're not making the open looks that they're getting? Or is this something where, Jaron Stevenson stepping into a bigger role, and Cliff Amori is a new addition to the team, and you have, I think it's 4 freshmen that get minutes, and Aiden Holloway's new, and you don't have Chris Youngblood, and there's just an acclimation process to what people are expected to do when you're playing for Nate Oates and you're playing in that system. And I honestly, it's probably all of the above. I think that the ceiling for Alabama, if Mark Sears is playing like the Mark Sears that we saw last year, right, because we know he has that in his game, if you get Jaron Stevenson and Grant Nelson, living up to the expectation of guys that are 6'10", 6'11", and as skilled as they are. You got those freshmen making shots. You got Chris Youngblood coming back. Latrell Wrightsell starts making some shots, and Cliff Amore can stop fouling people. Then you have the makings of a really, really, really good team that can win a national championship. But they have not come together the way that Purdue has because of the continuity that Purdue had. They have not come together the way that an Auburn has this early in the season.
Or
and
Gonzaga because of continuity.
Gonzaga, yeah.
It's continuity. Continuity is the word over the first 2 weeks of the season.
And here's the thing. Like, I don't think I don't think it's fair to say that they don't have continuity because they got
some guys back.
They got Grant Nelson, they got Mark Sears, they got Latrell Wrightsell, they got Jaron Stevenson, they got all of those guys back. Yes. And that's better than just about anybody in college basketball at this level, right? So I don't think that you can say continuity is the issue. I think it's some of the new pieces haven't bedded in perfectly yet. I think they've missed some of the shots that have been open. And maybe missing Chris Youngblood is a bigger loss than we thought. And maybe they're just not as good as we thought they were going to be. I still think that this team can win the SEC. I still think that this team can get to a Final Four. But there's more of a learning curve than I think I realized. And I had them number 1 this week, and I probably would have them closer to 3, 4, 5 if I was going to do the poll right now.
Well, I mean, you got to put Purdue ahead of them today, don't you? I mean, I know the way you do your poll. The way you do your poll is
no.
is,
you beat.
I mean, if you listen to this guy,
you beat someone.
Like even if Purdue beats Alabama, it doesn't matter.
How about this?
Are we doing a therapy session here?
No, you can sit here. You know what's funny? You know what's funny, Jeff?
Yeah.
You're sitting there saying all this, but you're not talking into the mic, so no one has any idea what you said.
Well, I'm trying not to see. I'm trying to talk to Paul because I'm
so bring the mic with you. Look at this. You do it like this. No, listen. If you want
to
to
get frustrated by the way he
if you want to rank Purdue over Alabama, then like there's nothing wrong with doing that.
Okay, so
Purdue also won a game at home. Like you're supposed to win your home games,
but you still have to do it, and they did it, and they beat him. They beat him by 9 points. Like it wasn't like a buzzer beater. They beat him. They earned it.
Okay.
Like to me, I think you.
I don't care about.
Disagree? Wait. Would you disagree that today, Purdue is the better team today? Probably even on a neutral floor, they probably were a better team today.
Probably,
right.
yes.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's all I would say. It's like I'm not saying Alabama. Listen, a month, 2 weeks from now, Alabama could go on a run here.
They also shot 9 for 16 from 3. Alabama was 9 for 29.
Okay.
They only turned the ball over 3 times. I think the overwhelming issue that I think here that we haven't talked about enough yet is that bringing in Cliff Amore, the reason you did that was to turn yourself into a better defensive team, right? Because last year, remember, if they were going to win games, they had to win like 105 to 100, right?
Yep.
And in the first 3 games, the numbers were better. They were forcing more turnovers. They had a lower offensive rebounding rate given up, and they were not allowing as high of a shooting percentage at the rim, which are the 3 things that you would expect for bringing in
But they were also
Amore.
mid-major.
But they were also mid-major opponents.
Right.
And then you look today, and Trey Kaufman-Renn was 11 for 22 at the rim.
Which is surprising.
Right?
I mean, if you think about that against Cliff Amore, it is a little surprising.
But what happened was Trey Kaufman-Renn got him in foul trouble, and Cliff Amore played 22 minutes. And then once Cliff Amore's not in there, like you're not worried about the freshman.
Or
if you have
Stevenson.
Yeah,
right.
or Jaron Stevenson or Grant Nelson. So that's the big issue is that we thought that the big transfer they were going to bring in was going to change what they were defensively, and it really hasn't.
I'll say this. I'm not worried at all about Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And Randolph Childress should offer an apology today about the Purdue Boilermakers.
Yeah, he
right?
kind of does.
I mean, he has been killing Purdue. So, RC, wherever you are, we know you're not awake right now. But when you wake up and you see this.
Oh, he's definitely awake because he's watching the Tyson fight.
He is. That's right.
Yeah, you know he's locked
Especially
in on
when
Tyson.
he saw Tyson, you know.
No.
Bear took us Mike Tyson, you know.
So we have a lot to catch up on here after this. Figure out who maybe is the best team in the country and who Dauster would put at number 1 coming up after this. All these rankings and more. We're going to take a break. This is the Field of 68 After Dark presented by BetMGM. Stick with us.
Now that college basketball season is back in full swing, I need to remind you guys about our partners over at Autograph, where the real college hoops fans reside. The Autograph app curates all of the best content for every sports fan and every sports fan's favorite team. podcasts, blogs, analysis. It's all there without the nonsense from the talking heads that don't actually watch the games. And there's a bonus. Consuming content on the Autograph app earns you coins that can be redeemed for rewards for things like no-fee tickets or signed jerseys from your favorite players. There are a couple new features in the app that I need to let you guys know about as well. Autograph Replay gives you a quick hitting summary of the previous day's news so you can keep track of all the important things going on with your favorite teams. And Autograph Rooms allows you to chat in real time with the true voices of fandom within your team's community. So go to the link in the description or scan that QR code on your screen and download the Autograph app.
Paul Fritschner, Jeff Goodman, Rob Dauster, Dagan Hughes over here on the keys. We are live from the College of Charleston here in Charleston, South Carolina after a thrilling double overtime win tonight for Charleston over FAU. That was one of the best games of the season. Well, it was the best game of the season so far. If we're doing takes tonight, it was the best game of the season so far. And who knows, we might look back in the first week of March and say that that was the best game of the season. You never know. Let's talk about where the national landscape is right now. Rob, I'll start with you. Who would you have at the top of your top 25 right now?
I think there are really only two teams that you can consider for the number one spot right now.
I cannot wait to hear
Okay,
this.
here we go.
I think the first one is, and I would probably have them at number one right now, is Gonzaga.
Okay.
38-point win over a good Baylor team who also beat Arkansas. They whipped up on some mid-majors who, it is what it is. But on paper, like they were
Whipped up. Didn't they beat Arizona State? No.
Oh yeah, they did beat Arizona State.
Calling Arizona State a mid-major now.
No, but they played UMass Lowell tonight.
I
and
can't
won by
wait till Bobby Hurley.
680.
I'm going to give Bobby Hurley your number.
That's fine. Yeah, you can
Okay.
go ahead. He actually has my number.
All right.
So
I'm shocked.
I'm sure he's locked into the field of 68 after dark right now.
Yeah, it probably is.
No, I forgot about that. But yeah, that's a good one too because Arizona State actually has looked pretty good.
Yeah.
I think Gonzaga, I would probably have them at number one. I love the backcourt. I love the versatility. I love the way they could play through their bigs and play through their guards. I think the Caliph Battle edition is a game changer for them in terms of having a guy that can go get you a bucket. And then the other one is Auburn. Auburn beat the absolute brakes off Vermont, who won at UAB. Then they go to Houston in the Toyota Center and beat a Houston team that almost nobody beats. And they've looked the part of a team that could play that way. Now, I would have Gonzaga over them because I think that part of the reason Auburn beat Houston was because they got good Tahad Pettiford. And until we see Tahad Pettiford being able to do that every single night, I would have Gonzaga over Auburn. But if you want to tell me it's Auburn over Gonzaga, then I'm not going to argue with you.
Jeff.
I mean, the reason they beat Houston was because of quality horseplay, first of all. Okay? That's why they beat Houston. Auburn absolutely is in the discussion. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Agreed. Like, they've been as impressive as anybody. I mean, steamrolling Vermont and then beating Houston at Houston. There's no better win so far this season than that one. You're beating a top 5 team at their place, or at least in their hometown. So I think Auburn is there today. I would give them the number one spot right now. I also think you got to put Kansas in there.
Yep.
I know they haven't looked great. I get it. They're still winning games. They still held on for a win against Carolina at Fog Allen, and they went and they held on for a win against Michigan State. Not a great Michigan State team, but last I checked, they're coached by a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
In a neutral setting. They're not there yet. But nobody's there yet. I mean, Auburn could lay an egg in their next game.
It's
Who knows?
Chiefs and Jayhawks fan overlap of you just figure out a way to win.
Yeah.
Exactly, and they do. And again, I don't think they're going to shoot as poorly. When we're at the Champions Classic, one of the semi-arguments we had was Randolph Childress really worrying about their perimeter shooting.
I am. I'm
not.
It's not the perimeter shooting that I'm worried about. They have guys that will make shots and those shots will come. My concern, and this is why I think when you look at Alabama and Kansas, just for to put those two teams because they were the preseason top 2, right? Neither of them have really looked like Alabama or Kansas in the way that we thought they would. I think that Alabama has a higher ceiling because you could see some of the things that are going wrong and say, okay, that potentially could get fixed, and that's how this can be better.
But if you're telling me you're not sure that they have good enough shooters, and that the system that Nate Oates employs is jacking a ton of threes, then it won't be fixed.
I think that they do have good enough shooters, and they're just missing those shots right now. When it comes to Kansas, they need to have DeJuan Harris at the point. They need to have KJ Adams at the 4, and they need to have Hunter Dickinson at the 5. And I just think that there is a little bit of a fundamental issue of having a guy that you want to play through in the post when you have 2 non-shooters on the floor as well. And I don't know if that's something where Bill Self can get as creative as he wants. I just think that's going to be something that he has to battle with all season long. And it makes me worried about what they're like. Of course, they can beat anybody in the country on any given night because they have the best coach in college, one of the 2 best coaches in college basketball, maybe the best player in college basketball, and one of the best winners in college basketball in DeJuan Harris, right? They're without a doubt a top 3, 4, 5, whatever you want to call them. They're in that conversation for national championships. I just think that they have a smaller margin for error when it comes to winning some of this stuff, and I'm just not sure if there's like if Kansas plays their absolute best game and Alabama plays their absolute best game, I think Alabama is probably better than them. I think Auburn is probably better than them. I think Gonzaga is probably better than them.
Ooh.
But the issue is,
I don't.
The issue is, and the flip
there.
And the flip side is,
I'm not there with Auburn or Gonzaga being better than them. Maybe today, again,
Yeah.
maybe today, but down the
just-
road, I'm not sure Bill Self can't figure this thing out.
And I'm sure I'm going to continue to get ripped by Kansas fans. That say, Rob is so down on Kansas. I'm not down on Kansas. I said that they're like a top 3 team in America after knocking them down from number 2. Like
Rob
they're
hates
really,
Kansas.
They're good. They're really good. I just think that I think that is going to be a difficult thing for him to work through all year, and we're going to be sitting here kind of having these same conversations.
I think some
all
of their
season
best
long.
lineups might honestly can he put KJ Adams on the bench at times? Even as hard as KJ plays, is that the most effective lineup against certain teams at certain times?
Yeah.
It might be.
I mean, he's got to get AJ Storr going too.
Yep.
Zeke Mayo struggled the other night, but he was awesome against North Carolina.
Yeah,
So,
Rylan Griffin could shoot it. The one thing you can say is Zeke Mayo and Rylan Griffin are both shooters. They are. But I understand what you're saying is it's hard to play both of them.
Yeah, and it's hard to play both of them, and it's just hard to have DeJuan Harris and KJ Adams on the floor at the same time when you're running everything
Sure.
through a big guy.
Yep.
And, look, if you want to use Hunter Dickinson as a floor spacer and a passer out of the high post, yeah, he can do some of that stuff. But you're also taking away what he does best and what Bill Self is great at in creating steals and opportunities where you just throw the ball and you get a layup. So I would probably have Gonzaga, Auburn, Kansas as my top 3 right now. Would you disagree with any of that?
Yeah, I would go.
You know what I want to hear? Let me ask you
I
this.
would probably go Auburn 1 because they've had the most impressive win. I would probably put Kansas 2. And I'm not as sold on Gonzaga as everybody is right now. I'm just not. I need to see more Gonzaga. I think, again, they came out of the gates so well. Well, no. I think they've got an advantage that they came out of the gates so well.
They might have the best point guard in college basketball, and you love point guards.
Yep,
right?
I do. Yep.
They can play out of the post with one of Graham Ike
big-
or
two
Braden
bigs.
Huff.
Yep.
If they want to go with a 2-big look, they can
Ben
play
Gregg.
Ben Gregg at the 4.
Yep.
If you want to go smaller, you can play Michael Ajayi at the 4, right? They got floor spacers in Dusty Stromer and Nolan
I think
Hickman.
other teams have higher upsides.
They
How's
have-
that? How's that?
They have a guy that can go out and get you 20 and a half in a dogfight if you need to in Caleb Battle. They got everything. They're so balanced. Now, the one thing I will give you is they don't have the same level of NBA talent that some of these other teams in that same kind of conversation
Their ceiling
do.
isn't quite as high. They're so good coming out of the gates because they return basically everybody but Battle.
And it's going to be perfect for them because they're going to beat up this difficult
Everybody.
non-conference schedule they got. Then they're going to get to the WCC
And crush
and
'em.
steamroll everybody in the WCC.
And then everybody's going to be like, Gonzaga's the best team. There'll be a point this year when Gonzaga is clearly the number 1 team because they're just beating everybody and other teams are losing.
I want to bring up their schedule real quick because Dagan's waving at us to say that we got to move on. But they have San Diego State is the first game in the Maui, right? They get West Virginia on a neutral. They get Kentucky in where it's the
Where is that
That
this
was
year?
I think it's at Spokane Arena.
I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure it's at Spokane Arena. They play UConn in MSG. There's a real chance that they head into WC play with 1 or 2 losses.
Yeah.
And they could probably honestly win all of those games. That's not the craziest thing in the world to think.
All right, let's take the last quarter of this show and look around the country at some of the other scores. We'll start with Marquette and Maryland. Marquette goes on the road. Maryland was favored in this game, slight favorites, but they were favored in this game. Cam Jones, 18 of his 28 in the second half, Stevie Mitchell, great last 2 minutes. He had 6 points in the last 2 minutes to really kind of power Marquette to a win here on the road in College Park. 4-point win for Marquette, 78-74. There were some question marks on Marquette coming into this season. I know Jeff had some question marks on Marquette coming into the season. I think that's fair. They answered some of that tonight.
Yeah, just the supporting cast. I thought it was Cam Jones and a bunch of guys that I just didn't know enough about and still don't trust enough right now. I think Cam Jones has to be special every single night for them to beat really good teams. He was special tonight in College Park, right? Like Stevie Mitchell help. They're going to need more help than just that. And that's what I'm afraid of. Like, again, I think Marquette's a fringe top 25 team until Cam Jones gets more help.
I think that they're better than that, but I don't think that your point is wrong. Like you can't rely on him going for 28 and getting 10 for 18 every single night, especially on the road, especially playing in a Big East where you're going to have to go and face UConn twice, and you're going to get Creighton twice, and you're going to get Rick Pitino and St. John's.
Ben Gold had 4 shots tonight.
Yeah, but he got in foul trouble early, and it was. Look, I don't think Ben Gold is the guy that you need to sit here and say, like, we need more out of him. It's David Doplin.
But we've been saying that about Job.
I know. But
like, how many years are you going to say that about him?
You need Job, and he made a couple of big plays down the stretch tonight. But he needs to be a guy that can be relied on to get 12 to 14 every single night. And I think and Chase Ross, like, I think that he will get there. And I also just think it's important to point out that Stevie. What's the little point guard's name that tore his ACL last year? Sean Jones. Sean Jones, yeah. Getting Sean Jones, if he's able to come back healthy at some point in the middle of the season, will be relevant because it will help take
defensively. And
it's just another guy where that can run the point. Like what they ran into last year with Tyler Kolek when Sean Jones went out is that they didn't really have another option where you can give the ball to somebody and take some of that pressure and work rate and effort off of Tyler Kolek and let him stand in the corner for 2 possessions offensively to kind of get a little bit of a rest while he's playing. Cam Jones doesn't have that right now. And getting Sean Jones back, I think, is something that can help that. But let's just call it what it is, man. You go on the road. You win in College Park, which is a loud, raucous environment. Yeah. Derek Queen's going for 24. Jacoby Gillespie's going for 24. I do think that Maryland team is a tournament team. And you just won on the road against a tournament. That's going to look like a solid, not just a quad 1 win, but a solid quad 1 win when things are all said and done and we get to Selection Sunday. So credit to Marquette and going out. The Big East needs all the wins they can get right now, man. They're struggling. They're struggling.
DePaul did it tonight.
The Blue Demons, baby.
They're
Demons,
back.
They're
Mons.
so back. Are you on the Holt bandwagon yet?
The Mons.
I'm almost there. I'm not there yet. 4-0, though.
What's it going to take to get you on the Mons bandwagon, Goodman?
When they beat somebody that has a pulse.
Hey, listen, Laval.
Is that disrespect to
Laval.
the A-10?
Listen, Laval.
Who's a
Laval. Laval Jordan, ex-Field of 68 alum.
I gotta find
Laval.
Stand up.
You know who's got your back here. So when you guys make that run, you know who it is. It's me and Paul. Goodman, you can cut them out. You know, when we head to Chicago for our live show at the Paul, when you guys are undefeated in when they're undefeated in the January,
I'll be at Wintrust.
Goodman's not invited.
Mark Aguirre's walking through that door.
All right, next one up. Arizona on the road at Wisconsin. 103-88, Wisconsin.
Good for
Arizona.
Wisconsin, man. Like, look.
Oh, my God. I mean, think about Wisconsin. Like, all of us were like, Greg Gard's done. Like, there's no way. This team stinks.
Dude, they put up 103 points.
Wisconsin
put up 100. Now, to be fair, they shot 47 free throws. There were 87 free throws in this game.
Insane.
If tonight's Charleston FAU matchup was the pinnacle of what college basketball can look like, I think it's fair to say that Wisconsin Arizona was what college basketball could be if it's a foul fest. But John Tonji going for 41, like they needed that. They need him to be a scorer. I think.
Can he go for 41 every night?
No, but I think it's important for Wisconsin to land these wins because it's going to be difficult for them in the Big Ten. I think that the Big Ten is so balanced and there's so many good teams, and there's not those like elite wins available in the league. Like you got to be able to get some of these marquee non-conference ones. And this, like,
remember they did this last year, Wisconsin in the non-conference. They were terrific early.
Yes,
and they surprised everybody. Could they do it again? Could they sustain this?
I think that they'll be more likely to sustain it because I don't know if they're going to have anyone that is going to get recruited off of their roster in February, which is probably like, that I'm not sure that really helped matters down the stretch of the season for them. No, but like really good win, man. They lost a lot this season. And like I said, the Big Ten is going to be so deep and so balanced that being able to land one of these marquee wins when I don't know if there will be – let me take that back. Purdue looks like they're probably going to end up being a marquee opponent all season long. Right. So –
but we don't know who else.
Yeah.
There'll be teams, but we don't know who they are yet.
Sure.
My bigger question to you is what generally happens when Arizona loses, Robert?
Look, I don't want to be in the frame. Go ahead. You take it away. Go ahead.
One, Caleb Love went 2 for 13 from the field. He went 0 for 6 from 3. He finished with 6 points in 26 minutes, Robert. What have I told you forever?
That you hate Caleb Love.
I've never said that. I've never said that. I have said, as Caleb Love goes, so does Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
It happened in the tournament last year. It happened with North Carolina when he was there. And I think it'll happen over and over and over. And I just think he's gotten better. He's definitely improved. But I still think Caleb Love is, for the most part, who Caleb Love is. And, again, he can get you there. When he's hot, man, there's few guys you'd rather have in your roster. But when he's not, it's going to be a tough night. And that's what happened tonight.
Mm-hmm. All right, another one. Florida over Florida State, 87-74 Gators. It's been a roller coaster of a week for Florida, and they get it done on the road.
Yeah, I mean, those guards, man, like Walter Clayton and Elijah Martin are fantastic. And, you're not going to find two better, big, strong, tough guards that just kind of – Walter Clayton's just a do-it-all combo guard. And Elijah Martin, I think, playing without Janelle Davis, honestly, has given him new life. I do. I think it's just given him more freedom, more confidence, more ability to kind of do what he should do, right? Like last year, it's just he just didn't look like himself.
I think that all those FAU guys, it took a while for them to adjust to being as big as stars as they were,
That
right?
too.
They go from when they committed to FAU, it was like FAU was not FAU what it is now.
No, it was it was a bad program.
Yeah, it was like a bottom tier job in that conference, and they go there, and all of a sudden FAU ends up in the American, and all of a sudden they're taking this team to a Final Four, and all of a sudden everyone's talking about them, and they come back to school, and they're superstars, and we're going down there and doing features on them, and ESPN's going down there and doing features on them, and it took them some time to adjust to that level of attention and that level of focus and that level of, frankly, stardom. And I think that by the end of the year, some of them had adjusted to it a little better than others had, and they'd been able to figure it out. But I think that a fresh start, a place where he's probably not as well known as for Elijah Martin as he was on the FAU campus, where he doesn't necessarily they already got a guy. The guy for Florida is Walter Clayton, right? He's their guy, so he can kind of come in and he knows.
You know what Clayton is? The difference? Clayton is a willing passer. And that makes it easier, I think, for Elijah Martin. I'm not saying – but Janelle wasn't a passer. What?
No, you're right, but, Walter Clayton likes to get him up.
No, he does, but he's much better.
Walter Clayton likes to shoot.
But he's much better about being able to facilitate, and that was never Janelle Davis. Let's face it. That wasn't his game.
Okay, I want everybody that's watching and listening to this to just close your eyes for a second, take a deep breath. The date is June 1st, 2019. You refresh your Twitter feed, and you see that Virginia and Villanova have scheduled a neutral site game. They're the last two national champions. You're jumping around in your room. You're so excited. You get to watch two storied programs go to battle. Oh, wait, no. It's 2024, and Virginia and Villanova played a slugfest tonight in Baltimore.
And you know what? Nobody cared, Paul.
Virginia won 70-60, and the rough start to the season for Villanova continues.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know any way that Kyle Neptune's going to be able to dig out of this now. I really do, because it just keeps coming. It just keeps coming. He can't. Like, you need a win. And they're not talented enough to boot. So Kyle Neptune, like, I don't know where it's going to go. They don't have an athletic director right now, so they're not going to make a move on him. He's going to get the season. But ultimately, I think he's kind of, I hate to say it, but I think he's kind of dead man walking at this point as far as his job is concerned. And, good win for Ron Sanchez, who's trying to fight for a permanent job over there at Virginia, and we'll see if he can do that. I think he's got more bullets right now on his team. I think he's got more talent, and I think that's a big part of why they won.
I disagree with that sentiment.
Okay.
I think that
You think Villanova's got enough talent? Really?
I don't think that they have enough talent. I would make the argument that they are more talented than Virginia is.
Eric Dixon, maybe, but
I don't want to sit here and like dog on Kyle Neptune. Like, we know what it is, right? I want to give the credit to Ron Sanchez in Virginia. Like, having the coach, having Tony Bennett retire on, what was it, I think it was October 17th, when we were in Mountain West Media Day, right? WCC Media Day. Literally about to go talk to Gonzaga and their players, and Goodman storms off, and these guys are like, I guess he didn't like us. And
I got to apologize to them.
they lose Jalen Warley, who was supposed to be like their starting big wing, point guard, playmaker, initiator, defensive guy, right? Like, he was the guy, the transfer that they got in the portal. And you bring in Ron Sanchez, and, he's off to a 3-0 start. And, you haven't beaten – it's not like you're out here beating Alabama or winning at Houston like Auburn did. But, you're starting to build some confidence, and you're getting these guys going in the right direction. And Isaac McNeely had 23 tonight. Like, I just think that –
well, it's the same system.
Yeah, it is. But it's the thing is about with Tony was like, he's just so good at teaching that
Okay, but
system.
you still have Sanchez,
and we talked about it a
Jason
little.
Williford, Orlando Vandross. You've got your three coaches.
Mm-hmm.
They have synergy between them. Where Villanova, it's just, I don't know, man. Like,
Look, we know what it is with Villanova. Like, I don't want to. If we're gonna do this,
we don't want to beat a dead horse every
if we're
loss.
gonna do this every time that they lose,
No,
it's
I'm
just
not
gonna be
doing it.
miserable.
I'm not
like,
doing it.
I like Kyle, man. Like, I
Of
want
course.
him to do well. Eric Dixon's fun.
Yep.
Big East basketball is better when Villanova is good. It's just, it's sad where the program is.
Villanova
right
saved
now.
Big East basketball in a way. They kind of saved it for a while. They did. I mean, they did. When they were winning national titles,
Big East wasn't great.
that's what I'm saying.
Big East
they
was a 3-bid.
saved it for a while.
The Big East was a 3-bid lead last year. Like, it just, whatever they do, they gotta get this right. But credit to Ron Sanchez. Good for Virginia. I'm glad that those kids, and I don't know if it's going to continue. Like, I don't think that they have enough to be. They might be able to get into the tournament, but I don't think that they have enough to be able to make a run. But I'm glad that those kids are winning, because imagine going to a program having that coach leave within
last I checked, they didn't make a run last year either. So,
Last game to talk about tonight, fellas. Texas A&M by 14 at home against Ohio State.
they got good Wade Taylor tonight. Texas A&M again. I compare Wade Taylor to Caleb Love in a lot of ways, and when Texas A&M gets good Wade Taylor, and he's efficient, and he makes shots, and he lets the game come to him a little bit, they can beat a lot of good teams. And when he isn't, and he's jacking shots, and he's missing shots, and he's not guarding and playing wild, Texas A&M can lose to just about anybody. So tonight, that was a really good win against an Ohio State team that, again, has really, really, really good guard play. Veteran, quality guard play. And I think that's a win that, again, if you're Buzz Williams, you're ecstatic about, because you kind of gave one away to start the season against UCF.
I'm a little worried about Ohio State.
Really?
I love their guards.
Wow.
In the sense that part of the reason I thought they were a top 25 team in America was because they were bringing in Sean Stewart and Aaron Bradshaw, who were two guys that I thought had a chance to be kind of in that, like, a breakout play. Like, I hate the cliche of saying breakout player. I feel like I've said it 17 times so far today, but could be that guy, right? Could live up to maybe what their expectation was coming out of high school. And Sean Stewart definitely has not been that guy since he's been there.
But he can't really shoot.
Yeah, and
so it's kind of a weird fit,
yeah,
right?
and Aaron Bradshaw, like,
talented, but the light hasn't stayed on. It'll go on for a game, and then it'll go off.
Yeah, so
I
don't
hear
know,
you,
man. Like
They need one more. They need one of those two to come through.
Because otherwise, like, you're looking at it, and it might be a situation where their 5 best players are guards, right? Like Bruce Thornton, John Mobley's been awesome. Michi Johnson, obviously. Put Micah Parrish at the 5. Is that what we're going to do here? Put Micah Parrish at the 5?
I mean, if you want to put your 5 best players on the court,
I'm a little.
No, you got to get one of Bradshaw or Stewart, and to me, Bradshaw would be the. I might just play Bradshaw at the 5. Because Stewart can't space the floor.
Yep.
Can't. So, but listen, again, Ohio State has challenged themselves early, scheduling-wise. So they split. They got Texas. They didn't get this one on the road. No shame whatsoever. To me, it's what do you do in these next – because they got some good non-conference games coming up.
Rob, Jeff, time for Toast of the Night as we wrap up this show.
I mean, come on. Like, can I start?
Is this unanimous?
Like Mr. Ice Latte. Ante Brzovic.
Can we make a rule?
No, I want to do this.
Okay.
Before we go, can we see if Rob Dauster can pronounce his name correctly first?
Ante Brzovic.
That's better. That's definitely better.
Ante Brzovic. Why are you guys looking at me funny?
Doesn't he?
It's Burr.
It's Brzovic.
Brzovic.
Burr.
Ante Brzovic.
There it is.
Brzovic.
Like birds fucking freezing
birds.
out here.
It's not that
Get
cold.
Goodman's coat. It's right
It's
over
not
there.
that cold. You just came from Jersey. It was cold in Jersey.
Ante Brzovic.
Yes. I mean, you got to give it to him.
No, let's
the
just,
game he had.
He's the obvious one, so let's give a toast to somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, John Tunji, certainly. Like, you gotta look at 41 points and getting a win against Arizona when everybody's written you off. So I would say Tunji would be my 1B. But we saw Ante Brzovic.
Yeah, but we know how good Ante is.
I'm just saying, you can't not give him a toast.
Yeah, good for him.
Good for him.
Good for him. Like,
I hope he sees you on King Street and he kicks your ass tomorrow. And he says, "Why didn't you give me that toast?"
You know what? If I'm ever going to have a chance to kick Ante Brzovic's ass, it's going to be tonight because he is gassed. He played 47 minutes.
Right now, Ante's like this, ice packs and both knees.
Yeah, I might have a chance. There's 2 guys that I want to give toast of the night to, and I think I'm going to start. I'm just going to go with Cam Jones. Right? Like, Cam Jones is a guy that some people on this network have doubted, and some people on this network have questioned. I've
never questioned Cam Jones. I questioned the people around Cam Jones.
How do you know I was talking about you?
I know you were. I could see it.
I hit dog hollers, right? My hot take at the start of the season was that Cam Jones was going to be a guy that had an outside chance to be National Player of the Year. That if Marquette was going to live up to their expectation, he was going to be in the conversation for National Player of the Year. And through 4 games, they're 4-0. They have a win at Maryland, and he has looked at times good enough to be National Player of the Year. He needs support.
Do you know why I got this? Tell him why I got this.
Because Cam Jones, our fashion correspondent, said that it looked good.
No. He didn't say it looked good. He said, I look like hell, basically, with what I was wearing
that's
prior.
right.
So I went out on King Street and did a little shopping.
Did a little upgrade.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I also.
What do you think, Paul?
That's good. I like it. With the jeans, too. The dark jeans. It's a good look.
The other toast tonight is Trey Kaufman-Renn.
That was mine.
Go ahead. Go. Take it away.
Trey Kaufman-Renn, you're my toast of the night. For a Purdue team that a lot of people doubted going into the day, doubted in a micro sense of what this game was going to be tonight. Trey Kaufman-Renn goes out there, puts up 26. They get a statement win at home. They answer some questions. I mean, when you need a player, if you're Purdue, when you need a player like Trey Kaufman-Renn to step up in a big situation, throw you the ball, make a play, do things that you need to do to get a win like this for your resume and make a statement, not just for your conference, not just for your players, not just for your home environment, but nationally against a team like Alabama that has as much respect as they do, Trey Kaufman-Renn deserves a credit for tonight.
No doubt. A lot of guys worthy tonight. Good night of basketball. Man, did we see the best game?
Hey, look, it felt like this felt like a February night of basketball.
Yeah, it was a good night.
It felt like a February night of college hoops. Take us home, Paul.
Gentlemen, it's been a blast. What a last 4 hours it has been here at TD Arena in Charleston. For Dagan Hughes over to my right, for Rob Dauster, for Jeff Goodman, I'm Paul Fritschner signing off. Hope you enjoyed my debut on the Field of 68. I know I enjoyed being here with you guys. We'll be here all weekend Saturday, Sunday, after the games, After Dark tomorrow, After Dark on Sunday as well. FAU and Liberty, that tips off at 6. We'll have it for you tomorrow night. Then on Sunday, it's Charleston and Liberty. That's all available on the Field of 68's YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
I need a beer. Now that the college basketball season is in full swing, you need to make sure that you have access to the best betting tool on the market, the Rhythm app. Spelled RITHMM, is a data-backed app that uses AI and analytics to identify inefficiencies in betting lines and the player prop market that will allow you, the user, to profit. You can create customized, analytics-driven betting models tailored to your personal preferences as a bettor. Users have access to up-to-the-second against-the-spread data. And if you're like me and you understand pictures better than numbers on a screen, Rhythm's internal trend analysis provides you with the kind of graphs that will allow you to evaluate past results and project future performance in a visual way. Every Division I college basketball team is included in Rhythm's metrics. Free subscribers to the Field of 68 Daily will get 25% off for a Rhythm subscription. Use the QR code on the screen to sign up or download at the link in the description.